Hey everybody, Mr. Marks here with a quick session on student-centered learning. Today I'll be going through the concept of student-centered learning, but really emphasizing this cool student-centered learning resource that I'll be sharing, hopefully in the comments of this video if you're watching it on YouTube. Uh, I'm going to get started right away by just exploring the features on this resource right here in the center in the title where it says student-centered learning. I'll first start by highlighting that there's this little I button for more information, and if you click on that, you can see a general overview of the topic as well as instructions on how to navigate this resource. Just want to emphasize that student-centered learning is a very important philosophy and practice that, if incorporated in your class, will boost engagement and help students take ownership over their learning process, really tailoring their learning process to their individual goals and interests. Student-centered learning really is a practice of putting students in the driver's seat so that they are actively participating in their learning experience instead of passively receiving their learning materials. The sections in this resource include a student-centered framework, which really has to do with planning and writing your lesson plans to involve a student-centered approach throughout your lesson process. There are student-centered engagement strategies that we'll explore. These are ways to get students engaged routinely and quickly throughout the lesson that put students at the center of the engagement activities. There will also be a section dedicated to student voice and student choice, which includes strategies and resources for getting students to express themselves and express what they know in the way that feels right to them, giving students a lot of choice in how they engage with the learning process and show their learning, their learning throughout the lesson. And finally, we'll also focus on peer-to-peer collaboration, because a big part of student-centered learning is really letting students interact with each other and take a lead role in the learning process, whether that's through peer review or through group collaboration or group projects. That collaborative process will definitely enhance student agency in your classroom, and we've got some great templates and tools to help with that. What's really special about this resource is that it provides templates and AI tips. So throughout this resource, you're going to see learning templates that are supposed to be really turnkey, things that you can go use in your class right away. And we'll also be providing AI tips and AI prompts. So prompts that you can copy and paste, put in your relevant information, and then put that in your favorite AI tool to develop your own personalized student-centered strategies without having to write it all yourself. How do we navigate this resource? Just important to note that the center button on the resource, which says student-centered learning, actually has a video tutorial, which is this video, and it will also have a resource bundle where you can see all the resources included in this learning tool all in one place for you to easily access. And of course, each section will have a button to view the section overview and a button to explore in detail the learning strategies that help you achieve that element of student-centered learning. We will also just show you the resource collection is here with links to all the different resources that we'll be exploring. Now let's turn our attention to student-centered framework. There is an overview area here, but really it's telling us that it's important to build with intentional student-centered experience in mind when we are actually writing our lessons. Some strategies to do this are really making sure that our bell work is an opportunity for student buy-in. If we look at this bell work buy-in section, we see it provides templates for engaging buy-in, getting students to think about the essential questions in a more personal way that relates to the real-world significance or personal significance of the learning topic. There are also, of course, AI tips here that you can use to generate your own authentic bell work that is tailored to your class topics. that will get students really thinking in a student-centered way about their learning process and their questioning. For self-assessment, we definitely recommend using self-assessment to make students agents in their learning evaluation. Students should be taking an active role in not only guiding their own learning experience, but also evaluating their learning outcomes. The exit ticket template here gives students the chance to evaluate their mastery of learning objectives, and it also allows students to reflect on how well they are practicing the big 5 live scholarly habits with a breakdown of what those habits are, so that you are establishing your behavior norms and your scholarly habits in a very active way with students. You can give this daily or weekly as a participation grade, any number of ways to use these kinds of self-assessments. And if you'd like to build your own, again, we've got AI tips to help you do so. Of course, then we talk about whole human check-ins. This really just involves connecting with your students as whole people, not just the math student or the history student, but an individual with interests and goals that should be present in their learning experience. To help you with this, we've got, of course, great tips and many pre-made resources. There's a number of Nearpod social emotional check-in lessons, class culture reset, great Nearpod on growth mindset. Again, kind of helping students take an active role in shaping their mentality, shaping their approach to learning materials. And there's also a First 5 live link here, which takes you to daily engagement strategies and cool resources that you can use to build community and get students talking. Turning our attention to student-centered engagement, we can look at the overview for this. The overview tells us that it's important to make sure that when we're taking time for engagement, it is student-centered. Not only that, but engagement should be frequent throughout class. It's not something we should save for the end after a long lecture. We should be getting students actively involved in the direct instruction. We've got great strategies for how to do that. First of all, student-generated questioning is a wonderful strategy. I personally love to use this for students who might be struggling a bit, who are not comfortable engaging and sharing in class. For low-risk engagement, I recommend having a student generate any statement about the learning, be it true or false, and now they can quiz their fellow students on whether that statement is true or false. So a little bit of a low-risk, easy way to participate. You can increase the rigor by telling students to come up with false statements about the class and then asking students to use evidence from the learning materials to prove why the statement is false. So that's definitely taking up the rigor a little bit, but also a great way to get students at the center of the questioning process. You can even use these student-based questions to build research projects that are authentic based on student inquiries. And there's a great resource here from the Right Question Institute that shows you how you can kind of build those student-guided research projects if you'd like. Student-paced practice is, of course, important, whether that is providing materials in advance and letting students work through a module at their own pace, maybe choosing different levels of rigor for a particular learning objective. Other digital tools can measure student performance and make sure that students are practicing on appropriate material that's within their zone of proximal development, so giving them the right level of rigor. Digital tools for that might include things like MobyMax. You can actually request premium access to MobyMax if you are a proximity learning teacher. There's a link to submit a ticket and request access for PLI teachers. Other applications that are free to use are Khan Academy, Duolingo, and Quizlet, which all, again, use that student data to give them self-paced practice materials. Of course, we've got AI tips for this as well, in case you'd like to build your own. It's important that students are allowed to personalize their understanding of the learning. There's many creative ways to do that. One tool we provide is the hashtag note templates series, where students can take notes as hashtags. They can write whole tweets with topics and hashtags, and they can even make a Twitter profile about a specific topic where they're providing, again, hashtags, related topics. So building their schema in a very 21st century format. We've got resources for student-led instruction, which has a total breakdown of how to execute jigsaw lessons with your students, break a big topic up into smaller chunks, allow students to present that material back to the class, make the student really the center of the content delivery. Students become the teacher in this lesson. There's also a question of how you execute these group activities by using breakout rooms. This little icon here opens different breakout room tutorials for Meets, Zoom, and Teams here. And you can watch these tutorial videos for whichever one works for the class you're teaching in. Gamified review. Another great way to get students engaged, make students feel like they're in the driver's seat of their learning experience, is allowing them to compete, have gamified practice. We've got great links to gamified learning platforms. A lot of these have pre-made games that you don't have to, make your own. You can search a topic you're teaching in class, find some pre-made look-its or time to climbs on Nearpod or Kahoots, and deliver them to boost that engagement and get students invested in their practice. We also have slide templates for gamified action, Jeopardy games, Wheel of Mysteries, teacher versus student games, and these are all pre-made slides that are available to all of our proximity learning teachers. Let's talk about student voice and student choice. This is such an important part of the student-centered learning experience. This is really all about making sure that students are actively choosing their learning pathway. This can mean using choice boards and giving students the option of which activity they'd like to explore, or using student inquiries and genuine student interest to allow students to shape which topics they would like to explore in more detail. Ways to do this are content connection. This is one of my favorite resources because it prompts students on how to connect the learning materials to their background and their cultural experiences. You can allow students to connect to other content, getting cross-curricular. They can connect it to themselves and their own personal experience, connect things to things they've seen in the media, or just connecting our learning topics to the world around them. Clicking on these provides a huge range of different questions that the student can answer. So it's really a choice board within a choice board. They can choose which kind of connection they'd like, and then choose between the 5 or 6 prompts that are provided for each one of these areas of connection. Lots of student choice there. And this also allows you to make the student learning experience culturally relevant, but it avoids the common pitfall of the teacher determining what culturally relevant instruction is. Sometimes teachers can miss the mark trying to gauge how to make content relevant to a student's culture or a student's personal background. This allows the student, again, to be the agent, to be the one who is making those culturally relevant connections to the content. Expression sessions, very similar to jigsaw lessons, but this expression session is going to encourage students to choose between different forms of multiple intelligence to show what they know or present a new idea to the rest of the class. There's instructions on how to do this here. There's audience participation note catchers, so there's a lot of built-in structure for doing this with your students. There's also AI tips for if you'd like to build your own expression sessions based on your learning topics. Okay, I do want to show these choice boards really quick. This is a choice board that's already been set up with links, so you can go in and edit it however you'd like. This is set up for multiple intelligence choices. We'll scaffold it based on rigor and difficulty. So there's a level 1, level 2, and a level 3 for kinesthetic learners. So feel free to use this structure or change it. But if you click on any one of these, it would take you to the slide, which can be customized with that personal prompt. The learn by seeing might be to present pictures or make a collage or make a video to represent a topic. And of course, you can always go back to the main choice board anytime. As always, we've got our AI tips for how to build your own choice board activities. This also has prompts for generating a rubric that is generic but sufficient for a wide range of different project options. Research projects. There's a lot to say about research, but one thing that's very important when you're focusing on student-centered research and giving students the agency to explore topics is making sure that they're using safe research tools and safe search engines. So we have provided a link of different safe search engines that can be used for school-appropriate results and allow students to do their own research on a wide range of topics. Again, when we're talking about amplifying student voice, it's important that we provide structure for students to form their opinions, make their thoughts connect with the evidence they have learned in class. And there is a template here to help you do that. This is the Claim Evidence Reasoning template. It provides sample questions for students. It breaks down how to do claim, evidence, and reasoning-based opinions. And of course provides structure for students to write their own claim, evidence, reasoning. Finally, there is a whole section on Socratic seminars and debates. Using Socratic seminars and debates is another great way to encourage and provide space for student voice and student thinking. Socratic seminars are very wonderful for that group collaboration. I've linked a online tool, Parlay, that helps facilitate Socratic seminars with students in a virtual classroom setting. We've also linked slides for structured, respectful debate. This really provides protocols and sentence starters and lots of planning tools to help students enter into respectful and informative debates about a wide range of topics, which you can, of course, also personalize. There is a link here to a huge list of discussion strategies that you might employ as well. But all of these are really putting students at the center and giving students the chance to own their ideas and respectfully voice their opinions. Finally, we'll take a look at peer-to-peer collaboration. In the peer-to-peer collaboration area, we can look at group projects. This group projects section provides us with awesome templates. There is a group project workspace template that students can use to collaborate. They can share it amongst their group members to set goals, to track their progress, to archive important materials for their project all in one location. There's also an individual workspace for group work where students can set their own personal goals, reflect on their own personal performance in the group work, and also write a small report about how other members of their groups contributed to the project overall, which can really help you on the back end to assess group projects. Peer review, of course, puts students in the center of the feedback process. Peer review is a very important practice for rough drafts and for helping students deepen their understanding of the assignment objectives. There's a peer review template right here to check out, which again gives lots of structure and a rubric for students to evaluate each other. And of course, this can be edited to meet the needs of your class. We've got lots of tutorials on collaborative documents here, how to use Nearpod, Collaborate boards for whole group brainstorming. You can use Google Docs and slides to help students collaborate, kind of like what's provided in the group project section. You can also use whiteboard.chat for small group or whole class collaboration on whiteboards. This also allows teachers to see what students are doing in real time to track student participation. And finally, we have a section here on Canvas discussion. So if you are using Canvas as your learning management system, then definitely check out. This is a list of how to use discussions for prompt responses, to facilitate class discussions or museum walks, and it also lists the settings that you should include to create activities based on the purpose of the Canvas discussion. And finally, there's a whole step-by-step tutorial right here showing you how to build Canvas discussions. So if you've never done a Canvas discussion before and you do have access to Canvas, go through this. It'll walk you step-by-step through that process and what settings to use. All right. I know that we have covered a whole lot here, but this resource is included. If you're watching this on YouTube, it should be included in the comments section. So please explore this at your own pace, make it very student-centered. And if you are watching this before January 9th of 2025, then come see us for the debrief discussion all about student-centered learning. Look in your emails for invitations from our connected community email regarding that debrief session. Hope you guys are having a great week, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.